Alrighty, Alice.
Mm-hmm.
It's a weird day. Today's a weird day.
It is. It's surreal. I felt really odd being in like work Zoom meetings today where we're talking about like the promotional calendar for the whatever launch of this program. Or it just like it felt like an odd time because there's literally bombs falling on some people's houses and I'm like planning email campaigns and it was like an odd juxtaposition. It was. So it's one of those weird days. I think one of the last times I felt like this when I like had a job where I had to just act normal and everybody was acting like nothing was happening was like, it was actually during Newtown. Like the Newtown thing was going on and like everybody was just like continuing on work as normal. Like nothing was happening. I was like, it's really like, I was like having trouble focusing on what was actually going on because it was so, it was so surreal. And this is like that because, like when 9/11 happened, it was crazy and surreal, but like most people were acting like it was crazy and surreal. You know what I mean?
Right.
This is like crazy, and this is one of those crazy and surreal where like everything's just going on as normal, sort of, except on like Twitter.
My friend, did I tell you about my friend Jay called me on 9/11?
Mm-mm.
Everybody called everybody and said, "Oh my God, he's doing this. What the hell?"
Right.
Jay called me and said, my friend, and said, "Oh my God, Tom, this is terrible. You seen this?" And I said, "I've seen worse." And he said, "Really?" For that 1 second.
Should you really make jokes on 9/11?
I don't know. It's a guy I make jokes with, and he makes jokes with me. But just for that 1 second, him thinking, wait a second, has Tom seen worse than this? Like, where would I have been that I had seen worse than this? Also, here's another thing. I just noticed that somebody sent me on December 2nd a note on LinkedIn. Mm-hmm. I'm not Mr. Popular or anything like that, and it's not as if I have to
Nobody
brush
knows
off.
about their LinkedIn messages.
Yes, nobody knows. So please don't do that. Unless you want to offer me a job, or no, I have a job, money. And don't congratulate me on my work anniversary anywhere, because really, and I don't mean to be negative here, I'm looking and seeing a bunch of people congratulated me on my work anniversary on LinkedIn. Not only did they message me on LinkedIn, but congratulated me on my work anniversary because LinkedIn told them to. And I want these people executed.
We know one person who sent you a work anniversary card.
Really?
Based on
what
your
am I
LinkedIn.
Hearing? What's that? Here?
My computer
your
turned
HVAC
itself up when we started, but
good.
It will quiet down again, I think.
I should have worn my T-shirt for it.
You should have worn your T-shirt.
Then Christmas might be canceled.
I'll
The front page.
I'll close some tabs and see if that helps. But no, we did know people who you had a work anniversary on LinkedIn, and they sent you a card to congratulate you on your milestone, like in the physical mail.
Who did?
I can't say it.
It's a friend?
A relative of yours.
A relative, okay. Well, that's... Okay. I don't want to
Send
talk
you a
about
card to congratulate you. I think it had glitter in it, too. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I don't know I had any glitter relatives. All right.
It was a nice gesture.
Okay. All right. So it is interesting to watch, though, because with social media now, this is weird because you're seeing a lot of these neighborhoods in Ukraine look like New England, and we had the same weather today, and there are people. This isn't. I know that this is obviously racist and nativist and this and that, but it's hard to relate to mud huts in Afghanistan. And, convoys of, camels in wherever we were going at the war in the Middle East.
Right.
And it's hard to relate to, villages and things like that.
But Ukraine is, if not first world, second world, certainly.
Right. But it's also obviously hugely Western influenced. Mm-hmm. So when there were people in Al-Qaeda fighting us who were men wearing long shirts or whatever those things are and sandals was one thing. These are, there's people walking around in Dodge Caravans, with Avengers shirts on while Russian tanks are going through the city. And while a missile gets fired from a fighter plane in some of the coolest but craziest video I've ever seen, it through a neighborhood. And you see the missile. You see the missile. I've never seen this before.
Yeah, I've never seen live footage of, like, countries bombing residential neighborhoods that, like, look Western. It's pretty
right, because
mind-blowing.
we're getting now, and this didn't exist at the beginning of the Gulf War. This is everyday people with iPhones on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
And just noticing, and it's a normal day, and there's a hot dog vendor in the corner, and some person's walking by, and a cruise missile is going overhead. It's like, what a weird... It is just a weird thing, and it's an awful thing, and this is so I don't know. So here's the problem. Is it much like 9/11? I think at this point, there's only NATO countries to bump into for Putin.
Right.
And if he's lost his mind, and he's tooling through there, and he thinks that NATO is weak, then, well, what if he takes...
I don't think he's lost his mind, to be frank. I think that's a coping mechanism for people who, can't explain what's going on. And
I think there might be some of that, but I think some people who I trust think that maybe there's part of him that was changed. I mean, it's speculation. I mean, this is a new thing for him.
I think he thinks he can get away with some stuff.
Yeah, but
I think he probably can.
Well, I understand that, and he's a kleptocrat, right? So he's been giping stuff forever. He's a weasel. But this is not a weasel move. These are columns of this is a big occupying force. This is mechanized divisions. This is, helicopters and Air Force planes flying. I mean, this is a real thing. This is a big move. This isn't chewing off a piece of the Crimea or chewing off some of Georgia or whatever. This is an occupying force that you send to make camp and run the place. So it's a little bit. This is.
Maybe. I mean, I've seen people speculate too, and I'm not like an expert in modern day geopolitics, that's for sure. But I've seen people speculate too that
certainly an expert in euthanasia.
He feels that he can get, he can bring Ukraine to their knees, get them to agree to hand him off the chunks of Ukraine that he wants, and then fade into the mist, and nobody's going to do anything about it, and he'll just have more of Ukraine the way he had more previously.
Yeah, but why wouldn't he just have all of Ukraine?
Because then you have to deal with, like, if you're dealing with parts of the country that are less, like, pro-Russian and have fewer Russian sympathies, then you're going to have to deal with, like, armed insurrections and stuff.
That's fine.
Which is, like, annoying, though. You know what I mean?
No, it's annoying when you're in the United States, and you have to worry about being condemned not only internally and on the world stage, and you have to worry about things like war crimes. If you're a guy like Stalin or a guy like Hitler, you can firing squad your way through these insurrections and not insurrections. What's it called? Insurgencies. Right. So I mean, if he goes village to village, old school 1935 style.
I mean, I don't think he necessarily wants the trouble, but I mean, I tend to think that he's like warning off the world from getting involved. He's going to try and get out of this what he wants, and then, he's going to see what he can get out of it, how far he can push it without, having to deal with like a long-term ongoing thing. I don't know that he wants that per se, but I mean, who knows? Like I say, I'm not like an expert in this, so I don't really know. I'm just like parroting things that I've like seen and read, but I don't know if it's hard for me to tell like what we should do now at this point, because like we've talked about before, the point of deterrence is to not have to make this decision now today. I mean, that's what sucks about this whole situation, is it's so bad. It's a humanitarian crisis. It's terrible. And it was avoidable, right? Because having a United States that people think will do something is a deterrent to this, right? Having a United States that has built the Keystone Pipeline and is energy independent from Russia and not dependent on them for fossil fuels has a deterrent effect. Having a United States that has a serious military that people don't want to screw with, that has a deterrent effect. Having a United States that everybody didn't just watch abandon a bunch of American citizens in a foreign country as they ran out on a war and abandoned their allies. I mean, like that yeah, I don't think you can underestimate the effect of what the impact the Afghanistan situation made on people like Putin and Xi. Right. And
here.
I think he's next because he's going to take Taiwan. And who's going to stop Xi from taking Taiwan? Realistically, are we going to stop him from taking Taiwan?
No.
I mean, like, so they're all watching this.
No, and
these
you know how
that's why I say, like, they're not necessarily crazy. They're watching to see what they can get away with, and then they're like, "Cool, I can do this now."
Yeah, but
like that's a rational actor.
Yeah, but maybe and maybe not. We don't know. But it's also possible that Putin has aspirations, and he wants to put himself up there on the Mount Rushmore of Russian heroes, and reconstituting some of the Soviet Union would do that. And how about going over, taking a left into something called Moldova, which I understand is a country, which might be in NATO, as a matter of fact.
I'm not up
or
on my
Poland,
list
which
of
is in NATO.
countries.
That would be a nice prize, wouldn't it?
That would be Poland would be a pretty big deal.
Or any of these places where there are American soldiers.
Yeah,
who
I
are
mean,
in the Baltic still, right?
Right. So we're shoring up. We're sending now a bunch of not just weapons, but troops to NATO countries, not to Ukraine, but to NATO countries that are around Ukraine. So then we're really at like the flashpoint. I don't think that sanctions is going to stop this, frankly. I don't. He's going to do what he wants. I don't think he cares about sanctions.
No, he already brilliantly worked with the Chinese. Did you know all about that?
Mm-mm.
He showed up in person. The only one who did, world leader, show up in person to the Beijing Olympics, to the Chinese, to meet with Xi, to show respect, to give him the world stage. He held off his invasion until after the Olympics
he doesn't
were done.
care about keeping people.
And
in
he
camps.
cut a whole bunch of wheat and grain deals with him.
Mm-hmm.
So in other words, the sanction damage is going to be offset by the Chinese markets immediately.
Right.
So why would he stop? Why wouldn't he stop in Poland?
We're hurt by the sanctions, frankly, and like not just in Biden and Psaki telling us to tighten our belts because we're going to stand up for American principles ways. Like, we're hurt by these sanctions, not just because we, didn't do the Keystone Pipeline, which would have replaced all the oil that we import from Russia, and we could have like had, this resource to lean on and not have been dependent on them. But like, so I read this on Twitter, and like, granted, I did not verify this information, but I read this on Twitter, so I'm gonna run with it. But this is from an article someone wrote that says, in effect, Russia has been doing what China did earlier with rare earth metals, establishing a lockhold by selling below cost and knocking out the Western supply chain. A report says Russia is increasingly able to use its dominance as a tool of geopolitical leverage. The Bureau warned that the U.S. is down to one aging plant capable of producing titanium sponge at scale and no longer has any titanium reserve in the national defense stockpile. It relies on supply from a hostile state-controlled entity to build U.S. fighter jets, rockets, missiles, submarines, helicopters, satellites, and advanced weaponry. The report called for urgent measures to rebuild domestic production and acquire strategic reserves. Well, where is that now? Here's more from the same article. The White House has been slow to wake up to Russia's counterstrike capability. It did not canvass U.S. semiconductor companies on the risk until the critical materials firm TechNet revealed the extent of U.S. dependence on Russian supply of C4F6 gas, neon, palladium, scandium. Some 90% of the world's supply of neon as laser gas for chip lithography comes from Russia and Ukraine. 2/3 of this is purified for the global market by one company in Odessa. There are other long-term sources of neon in Africa, but that is irrelevant in the short run. TechNet said Russian C4F6 gas is used for etching node logic devices. Palladium is used for sensors, plating material, and computer memory.
Great. We're going to be
That's
surrendering to the Russians because we're an ounce short of palladium.
That's from the Intelligence Quarterly, and I don't really know what the Intelligence Quarterly is, but it sounds official. So.
Sounds like smart people.
It does. So yeah, so if that's the case, if that's accurate information, that's really, really bad. And I'm just like, so I guess what kills me is that this was like so preventable, and that there are consequences to the U.S. having crappy presidents, like consequences that go beyond like whether you feel bad about Trump's tweets or whatever, right? Like under Obama, we had this stupid Syrian refugee crisis that was all over the world. We had to look at pictures of little kids dying on beaches that were washing up because of Obama's stupid foreign policy in Syria that destroyed that country. Now we have to watch this happening in Ukraine because the same stupid administration with all the same foreign policy morons is running things again, and they're making the same stupid mistakes. They're not showing any strength. They're not, I mean, like, there's a lot of, on Twitter, I mean, thank God Trump was trending today because everyone was tweeting like, thank God Trump isn't president at a time like this.
Oh,
which,
God.
like, how can you say that? Because Trump was president for 4 whole years, and this didn't happen. And the two things aren't unrelated. It's not just a coincidence Trump wasn't president right now.
Well, thank God Trump isn't president for this period where we're now energy dependent. Thank God he's not president for this.
Right.
Like,
Putin is doing this because Trump's not president.
Right.
I mean, not to say, like, do I think Trump was perfect with Putin? No. But you can't look at the last 4 years and then this past year under Biden and say that Biden's foreign policy has been more successful just on the merits. And it's pathetic to pretend that Biden is somehow some foreign policy heavyweight. It's insane to pretend Kamala is a foreign policy heavyweight.
Alice, we're talking about literally war in Europe here.
Okay, guys. Come on, guys. Like, I mean,
So here's the story.
only idea worse than the idea of Biden being president in this crisis is the idea of Kamala being president in this crisis. I don't know how they managed to find the only person to be vice president who could possibly be worse than the person who's president right now, but somehow they managed to achieve it. It's incredible, but like, I mean, I do recall somebody tweeting a while ago that Kamala was Biden's like 25th Amendment suicide vest. Like the cabinet was never going to vote to remove him from office for incompetence because the replacement is Kamala. So, and I think there's some truth to that.
Well, but yes, absolutely. And you know, people say it's very important because she's the first black vice president. She's Southeast Asian vice president. And that you know, that not only that means equity, but that means suddenly girls who are Southeast Asian will see somebody up there who looks like them, and girls who are black will suddenly see somebody who looks like them and be inspired. It's like, and all that stuff is just is hogwash. People don't need somebody who resembles you to be up there. Really, the only people who should be inspired are stupid people, because the stupid people now say, "Wow, if she can be there, I can be there."
Well, true, and it's just so telling because
hold on one second.
It's so telling because people are voting on this stupid stuff, this like identity politics and their feelings and this whatever that it is that they're voting on. But like these decisions, especially for the United States, which is such a powerful country that impacts so many other places in the world.
Maybe Sally can make you a chocolate milk.
Ooh, chocolate milk. This has like.
There is chocolate unless they drank it in the pantry, and there is milk in the cooler outside.
This has
no, it's out in the kitchen on the counter.
This has like real consequences for real people's lives. Like that's what's sad is, and then we have to listen to liberals tell us that we need to be more compassionate, or that Republicans are somehow like. Helping Putin by not being more sympathetic or by blaming Biden. But
James's
the truth is,
official little Jerry Callahan shirt merch.
You're
store.
not on camera right now, unfortunately.
All right, well, tell me when I'm on.
Now you're on.
James's official little Jerry Callahan shirt available in the merch store. Very comfortable. He looks handsome. Thank you.
So.
I'll say hi to you, James, because you're going to listen to this later. Say hi to James.
Hi, future James. It's like you're time traveling.
That's right. All right, guys. Thank you.
I'm actually going to listen to this
But it's incredibly sad because, you know, the presidency of the United States has real consequences. I mean, like, and we saw this live. We saw it, if you didn't get it during the Obama administration with the Syrian refugees and you thought that was somehow like unavoidable and out of Obama's control. And then we watched that not happen under Trump for 4 years. And now back to Biden, and less than 1 year in, we have people falling from wheel wells and Putin bombing Ukraine. Like, how?
You know, you omit the entire story of ISIS.
Oh, right. Yeah. The whole ISIS thing. ISIS was the JV team and then they weren't. And then they were chopping off heads and burning people alive and all kinds of stuff. I mean, like, yeah, but that's the Democrats go around telling us that their foreign policy is so compassionate and so smart and all this stuff. But it looks to me like whenever we have Democrat presidents, a lot of people around the world, including BIPOCs and everybody else, die for our stupid foreign policy every time we have the Democrats in charge. All the West Wing aficionados, they all come in and they're so smart and they're so compassionate and they love people of color and they know all about different regions of the world, not like stupid Trump. And then this is what we get. This is the result. So, I mean, like, walk the walk or talk the talk, I guess. I mean, like, I don't know what to tell people about it, but like, we can see the results happening in real time.
I completely agree with you. Absolutely. I mean, you that doesn't even include, you know, bashfully giving Putin a list of places he couldn't hack into if he doesn't mind.
Right. Or the Keystone Pipeline because, you know, Greta Thunberg told us that we were mean for having a Keystone Pipeline, or like Native American activists or whatever stupid thing that we couldn't have. I mean, it's bad enough that we couldn't have the jobs and we couldn't have the cheap energy and all that other stuff. But the fact that then empowers jerks like Putin. I mean, like, but being on the left means never having to think about the consequences of your actions beyond essentially beyond your intentions. It doesn't even matter if the effects are bad 3 seconds later after you execute the plan. You know, you only have to have really meant well in your heart, and that means that on the left that you're a good person and nothing could ever be bad.
So here's one of those geniuses right now. This is John Kerry.
I'm concerned about Ukraine because of the.
Now I'm going to.
You know, I think hopefully President Putin would realize that in the northern part of his country, they used to live on 66% of a nation that was over frozen land. Now it's thawing, and his infrastructure is at risk, and the people of Russia are at risk. And so I hope President Putin will help us to stay on track with respect to what we need to do for the climate.
We're a very serious country.
That's a member of the cabinet, a very smart person who went to Yale. That are the best of the best.
Maybe James Taylor is available to go to Ukraine. I think it's possible. Joy Behar also has her finger on the pulse of what's important in geopolitics.
Estimates are 50,000 Ukrainians will be dead or wounded, and that this is going to start a humanitarian crisis, a refugee crisis in Europe. We're talking about 5 million people that are going to be displaced. I mean, it's heartbreaking to hear what is going to happen.
Well, I'm scared of what's going to happen in Western Europe, too. You know, you plan a trip, you want to go there. I want to go to Italy for 4 years. I haven't been able to make it because of the pandemic. And now this, you know, it's like, what's going to happen there?
Oh, my God, that's fantastic. That is fantastic. Now, wait a second. How come Whoopi has to go away for 2 weeks? Because she gets some minutia wrong about the Holocaust, because she's thinking race as in black people, white people.
Well, she said the Holocaust wasn't about race, which I think is a little more.
Yes, but you know what she meant. She's dumb. She means black people and white people, and she wasn't without. Obviously, she's missing the plot of the movie when she says that. But this is beautiful. This is fantastic.
Joy Behar sees little children getting blown up by Russian bombs, and she thinks, wow, I really wanted to go to Italy this summer, and this is going to throw a huge wrench in my vacation plans. Like, that's what she thinks. And then the left, like, turns around and expects us to believe that they're the nice ones. It's, like, incredible to me. I can't get over, like, the incredible selfishness and callousness.
I love that. But yeah, it is absolutely. When I was doing radio, I won't mention who, but we did when I was at the Herald, we were doing a show, and we talked about, I think it was the hurricane in Puerto Rico. I think it was.
Okay.
Or it was somewhere else.
One where Trump threw paper towels.
Yeah, or it was or it was the same hurricane, but it hit somewhere else in the Caribbean or something. And anyway, we spoke to somebody, and we said, so how's the damage? Like, what's going on there? And they said it's absolutely terrible. It's horrific. You can't get water. The structures are destroyed. The hotels, the row of hotels that's usually here, are destroyed. The beaches are terrible and unusable for a while anyway. And although some of the places are still up and running, it's not. There's debris everywhere, and this won't be cleaned up for years. And anyway, and my co-host was asking details, and we're all asking details about the damage.
Mm-hmm.
And this is so perfect. And after the interview was over, my co-host, who had hotel reservations there, canceled. Isn't that perfect?
That is incredible.
She at least aired it and said, should I feel bad about doing this? But there you go. But then again, she wouldn't say that she's a good person. She knew that was a shallow, callous, though understandable thing to do.
Well, right. Joy Behar goes around telling us it's unacceptable that people vote for Trump because he's like really mean and has like mean thoughts about people in his heart. And then she can watch like a literal war breaking out and be upset about the fact that she hasn't gotten a chance to visit Italy in the last 4 years. That's like and the fact that she just says it out loud with no shame is like incredible to me.
Well, and the other people said, yeah, that's a good point. Can't go to Italy anymore.
So, yeah, I mean, this is Libs of TikTok had a little bit of a collection. Did you see this? Of some of the takes that some liberals had about Ukraine?
No. Is it something that's video that I should grab?
No, it's not video. It's just they had like a little a group.
It's funny. Libs of TikTok is turning into quite a platform.
It's huge. We knew about it pretty early on, I want to say. Because you didn't want me to tell people where we were getting all our great TikTok audio.
There you go. That's nice and shallow, too. I stand by it.
You were like, don't tell people about that account. It's like, okay. So,
hey, dickhead, we're on the same team, my friend.
Okay, we're on the same team.
You benefited from all those ad dollars as well.
So, they made a collection of some of the best takes on Ukraine coming from the left. Libs of TikTok has No Angel Charlie, who has now deleted their account. Reminder to not assign gender to anyone from Ukraine when tweeting about it. Remember to use the correct term folks when referring to Ukrainian folks. It's not hard to be inclusive of all genders in Ukraine.
Fantastic. This is too good. Don't tell people where this is, Alice. From now on, source this to us.
Mm-hmm. I invented this. Lots of people in Ukraine crowding together inside. Only 35% of Ukrainians have been vaccinated, and less than 2% have been boosted.
Awesome.
This isn't discussed much, but Putin very much benefits from white privilege. I just can't see a scenario in which a black or brown man running Russia would be allowed to invade Ukraine with no devastating consequences. In one way, Putin did us a favor. Historically, every president running for re-election during a war has won. I'm serious. Anything that keeps Trump out of the White House, I embrace. Please don't let Putin distract you from the things that really matter. And there's a Black Lives Matter. And then at Angela Belcamino, who's actually a blue check and has subsequently deleted this, I believe, tweeted at POTUS this morning to draft the unvaccinated. So, to fight Russia.
That is fantastic.
That is fantastic. Going through our last. Shannon Watts had some great takes too, I think.
Oh, I know. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about that moron. Shannon Watts is some dude who thinks that he plays make pretend.
I believe she's a girl.
Oh, really? Is
Shannon Watts?
Oh no. Oh, is that not who I got in the fight with? Who's the girl dude I got in the fight with? Who?
Chip Goins.
No, another dude over somebody else. There was a Miles
Shannon Watts
is
the one that you called a psycho today.
Yeah, obviously she's a psycho. But let's not worry. She essentially said this is all Biden's fault. Or Trump and NRA or whatever. It's all run by Russians. This is a piece of real news from the New York Post. Mm-hmm. This I love, and I think this should happen. Breaking, Alice.
Mm-hmm.
Dateline Nuevo York canceled comedian Louis C.K. to perform in Kyiv despite Russian invasion. Louis C.K. is cracking jokes in a war zone. The once canceled stand-up comedian is apparently laughing in the face of danger as his upcoming performances at the National Palace of Arts in Kyiv are still scheduled to take place this weekend, despite Russia's ongoing invasion. The Louis C.K. show in Kyiv has not been canceled, tweeted a fan Wednesday. The trending post was accompanied by a graphic reading, "Dear attendees, Louis C.K. performance will take place as planned on February 25th and February 26th. Tickets for Louis C.K. show purchased earlier remain valid for new dates and do not require an exchange. Reps have yet to publicly confirm the status of his upcoming and the accompanying chaos, which has sparked a mass exodus from the nation." But there you go.
I mean,
good for him.
That's crazy, though.
I like him.
I mean, I do too. It makes me wonder if things are as bad as like we're getting told, though, too, doesn't it?
Yeah, I don't trust anybody whatsoever. Hello?
Yeah, no, I'm thinking about it. I don't know. And I wonder what Tucker Carlson's going to do tonight too, cuz he spent last night saying like essentially like this isn't that bad basically, right?
Yeah, which I don't really love Tucker's take on this.
So, but what's Tucker going to say today now that we're like full on war with all these like videos of kids getting bombed and like tearful goodbyes and like all this stuff. You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
I wonder what his take is going to be now. Like, is it going to be that it's just all propaganda?
Here's a tearful goodbye.
Yeah, this is apparently they've ordered like men of fighting age not to leave the country.
Oh, it's so sad.
So it's the dad like crying as he says goodbye to his kids that they're putting on a train to leave the country. But I mean, like, yeah, I don't know. Like, it is very affecting, but you also do wonder like how much is just propaganda too.
Right. No, I don't know. Yeah. Who knows? I mean, obviously, if the Ukrainians, it would be foolish of them not to produce some viral footage. At the same time, I believe Putin is heading into Ukraine.
Oh, yeah, and I believe he's a bad dude, obviously.
Sure.
But I do think it like gets played up for sympathy to some extent.
Going back to what we decided long ago,
Mm-hmm.
we were talking about at the beginning about like 9/11.
Yeah.
Is if Russia does move into a NATO country, let's say they move into Poland,
Mm-hmm.
then that, much like 9/11, the moment that happens, changes everything.
Right.
Changes everything. So, for instance, today you ordered what?
I ordered potassium iodide tablets, yes.
Okay. And what is the reason for that?
They prevent your thyroid from absorbing a nuclear version of iodine into your thyroid gland and poisoning you with radioiodines.
Okay. And what is the reason we have it now, Alice?
Because in case there's a nuclear war, although I guess we were supposed to have it because we live close enough to the nuclear power plant. My friend who lives in town was like, you didn't already have potassium iodide on hand? And I was like, no, I just never like thought that Seabrook would melt down, I guess. And then my other friend who like works really near the Seabrook power plant was like, oh my God, that place is such a bleep show, and like you should definitely have whatever you need to stay safe if it melts down because all the people that work there are crazy and like whatever. Anyway.
Good to know, Alice.
So anyway, I guess if you live near a nuclear power plant, you're supposed to just have potassium iodide anyway. But the reason why I was like searching it today and like ordered some to come to our house right now is because I am concerned about the potential for a nuclear armed conflict after Putin's speech today.
Well, I got 2 shots and a booster and COVID, so I believe I'm covered off.
Not from radiation.
I believe I'm covered off.
Radiation poisoning, not a good way to go, it turns out.
By the way,
you better hope the nuclear bomb falls directly on you. And like you just get obliterated right off.
I disagree that it's not a good way to go.
Or yeah.
And also, where is Fauci? Come on, dude. Let's get some earned media here. Come on. He had to wait till the pandemic came to him to show up at all the green rooms. No, you go find pandemics and make war a pandemic and make potassium iodide pandemic. Come on.
Right.
I'm so disappointed in him.
I did see another liberal, and this I actually saw myself. I didn't steal this from libs of TikTok, but there was a liberal on Twitter today too, saying like that there is speculation that Putin had COVID and maybe that made him lose his mind. Mm-hmm. So, and that's why he's doing this. But like, I mean, I tend to think if you are Putin and you know, you are who you are, that he's like being a rational actor within his own frame of reference and like what he wants to achieve and his incentives, right? Like, the U.S. is being run by a bunch of weak idiots that aren't going to do anything about it. They're not going to, and I mean, he's essentially warned off everybody from doing anything about it. That's like, he threatened nuclear war this morning, basically. He made like this veiled threat. He was like, what did he say? He's like, anybody who gets involved will like have consequences never before seen in history or whatever. Yeah. So, you know, I just don't, yeah. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm going to refresh my basement stockpiles. And
you need to make sure, Alice, that your basement stockpile is not being fed on by rats.
I know. Who poisons all the rats around here?
Well, I don't know. I don't know if all of them are poisoned, because I have eyewitness reports from kids that they're hearing little scratching noises. And I have a guy on who calls up and tells me about these incursions into houses and says you have to have every hole outside blocked up, which is for this house not possible.
300 years old. We are not going to have every hole blocked up. It's not a reality.
Yeah, that is,
so
by the way,
there's going to be poison around.
Of course, I'll be dead before you move out of this house. But lesson learned on antique houses.
I love
Jesus,
antique
how many
houses.
mistakes are we going to make in our life? Oh,
I'd do everything over.
Everything?
Yeah.
Even a T-Dog?
Yeah.
My goodness, Alice.
I've made great decisions in my life, I think. Do you not think so?
No. No. Your decision to order more guinea fowl was not a great decision. All right, I want to mention this is odd. So that's a plus.
Okay.
You know that I was dating a celebrity.
No.
In 2017 or 2015, when I went to Arizona for the... Hello? What was that noise?
Sorry. Go on.
Do you remember when I was dating...
Kate Upton?
No, Alice. Annalyn McCord.
Oh, okay, yeah.
She is the dazzlingly beautiful actress who was on 90210, the second version. And
Which you watch religiously.
I did never watch it, but I had her on Radio Row, and we got very flirty, I think it's fair to say. The world saw something blooming. And then I think she came back for even another interview. And then somehow she was dating a guy, a former basketball player turned actor, the tall guy, really good looking, Rick Fox.
No.
Or there was rumors of it, and somehow I got in the middle of the rumors. Do you remember this?
No.
You don't remember this on Twitter?
No.
Somehow I got in the middle of the rumors, maybe because somebody took a picture of us together or whatever, and it had Rick...
Oh, did you tweet that she was your girlfriend?
That is not beyond me. But somehow then she retweeted it and went back, and Rick Fox then was like throwing barbs at me, like threatening me. Not really, but... And somehow I was a player for a second in this in this scandal that wasn't... I was used as a prop by two famous people, two really good-looking famous people. She and Rick Fox is really good-looking. I was, of course, and you know me, how happy I am to debase myself for a little attention.
Yes, I do know this.
So I was happy to, and I got all sorts of attention and plaudits and this and that. I was happy to be in the middle of this thing. I thought for a moment that Fox was going to bring me to his suite in the Super Bowl. I think they led me to believe that it was going to happen. I was dropped as soon as they were like, okay, we're getting slightly less, attention on this now. Let's drop the fat guy. He's been cut. But anyway, so Annalyn McCord, I haven't seen this, but I saw that it's out there. She actually made what I believe is a plea to President Putin. This is my ex, Alice, who made a plea to President Putin today.
Why do I have to put up with this stuff from you?
Dear President Vladimir Putin, I'm so sorry that I was not your mother. If I was your mother, you would have been so loved, held in the arms of joyous light, Never would the stories plight the world unfurled before our eyes, a pure demise of nations sitting peaceful under a night sky. If I was your mother, the world would have been warm. So much laughter and joy, and nothing would harm. I can't imagine the stain, the soul-stealing pain.
Now, hold on. Is she stealing the poetic style of the inaugural poet?
I think that's just the style now.
It is?
I think so.
Oh, my. It's so effing condescending. It really so is. Oh.
That the little boy you must have seen and believed, and the formulation of thought quickly taught that you lived in a cruel, unjust world. Is this why you now decide no one will get the best of you? Is this why you do not hide nor away shy from taking back the world? Was it because so early in life, all that strife racked your little body with fear? If I was your mother, if the world was cold, I'd have died to make you warm. I'd have died to protect you from the...
You know, it's very possible his mother was just a wonderful person. It's also almost definitely a fact that although she's condescending to him, he's a much smarter human being.
Well, yeah, I can't imagine what Putin thinks when he sees stuff like that.
And I love, I love this. The American progressives are going to fix him. We can fix him. He's just missing love.
This reminds me, honestly, so we had friends when I grew up in Lexington, obviously. We had friends that were very anti-Bush and anti-Afghanistan war, Iraq war, all those things, right? So my mom ended up like voting for Bush in 2004, and this caused this like big issue with this friend of hers who, of course, was named Muffy because why not? And these are the same friends that I visited John Kerry's island with, actually.
Very nice. Wow.
They're part of the same family, Nashon. Anyway, so this friend, Muffy, like, said to my mom, like, she couldn't believe my mom, like, voted for George Bush in 2004 and, like, all this stuff. And they had this big fight. And it, like, culminated in the friend saying that, that she couldn't wait until we lived in a world where all the children who grew up would have been raised without being hit by their parents, because that's what caused war, is parents teaching their children that violence solves problems by hitting them as kids. So once we lived in a world where no children had been hit by their parents, war would disappear.
What a... That sounds... Absolutely. I know people who would believe that totally. So that's so true. That's so true. Oh my
She's
goodness.
like, I understand that you're like coming from a place of fear, but someday we're going to live in a world.
Well, that's precisely what this is.
Yeah, we're going to live in a world.
No, you know what? I'm a nuanced thinker. I know that that's not bad in you. It's not bad. It's pain in you.
The unjust, the violence, the terror, the uncertainty. I would have died to give you life. Oh, dear Mr. President Putin, if only I'd been your mother. Perhaps the torture of unwrit youth would not within your heart imbue ascription to such fealty against that world that you...
Wait, what? Go back. Go back. I know a lot of words, but I didn't catch some of those.
I would have died to give you life. Oh, dear Mr. President Putin, if only I'd been your mother.
Is there not a little bit of like... Is there,
quivering in the voice?
Yeah, is there not a little bit of like, happy birthday, Mr. President, in the, oh, dear Mr. President Putin?
Perhaps the torture of unwrit youth would not within your heart imbue ascription to such fealty against that world that you thought was so cruel.
Yeah, by the way, it's fealty against, apostrophe against.
The torture
Perhaps
of unwrit youth.
Dear human life, and on this night, instead of Mother Russia, you would call me. And I would set your mind quite free with the love that only a mother can give and only a mother can take away. When holds she doesn't the harm at bay and leaves her boy for the promise of a man, whatever your story, Mr.
Meanwhile, the Trump voting Walmart shopping woman will point her shotgun at Putin when he drives down the street. This woman is going to throw alms. Please don't worry. I know what you really need. As he freaking double taps her.
Mr. President Putin. I can't imagine how it feels in your heart, but I know if I was your mother, that would be a start towards the awareness of what a powerful being of light you could be if your mind was only free from the violence you've seen when you were just 2 or 3. I cannot believe I was born too late in a different place when I would have loved you so, watched you play wherever you go.
Is there tones of a
That's what
sexual
I'm saying.
nature?
That's what I'm saying. There's a little happy birthday, Mr. President here. Like, I don't know. I feel like there's a little, something. I don't feel that this is purely motherly love that she's expressing in her poetry reading here.
Cuter when I was dating her.
What does she look like now?
What
is she even famous for? Can I just ask?
90210.
Do we know? Was that famous? I mean, I know the old one was. Was the new version, like, popular?
I'm going to send this to you, Alice, if you want to eat your heart out. This is proof that we were dating, and I'm sorry about that. I realized that we were married.
You found the picture of her right now?
I found the tweet. One of the tweets between us. Wow, she looked good back then. Oh, wow, there's a meme of it. Do you see 2 down? Haters going to hate, players going to play?
No, I don't see 2 down from anything. What am I looking at right now?
What did I do with this?
Oh, there's you and Anna Lynn McCall. I see.
I'm sorry, Alice. You know,
you're wearing a same shirt that you wear on this podcast like all the time. Are you wearing that shirt? What shirt are you wearing right now?
Your
Jay-Z one. I see, not that one. Yeah. But you do wear that shirt on the podcast, I believe. That
I do.
American flag shirt. So that proves that you're skinny.
Oh, does it? My face looks fairly bulbous, I think, adequately in this picture. You know what? But there's all I need. All I need. I'll be sending this to Dave Cullinane.
You are absolutely shameless and ridiculous and absurd.
That's right. That's right. Hold on. What have I done with this? Dave Cullinane. That's right, Alice.
You're an embarrassing husband to have sometimes.
What did you say?
Know
what?
That? Did you know that? Just occasionally. Or like all the time. But yeah, I don't know.
What did you just say? You don't really mean that. What do you mean embarrassing? I was with her, Alice. That means your stock goes up.
Is that
she was literally touching me there, embracing me.
What's the date on this?
She's a beautiful...
Was I literally pregnant with your child at the time?
Yes, she's a Hollywood actress, Alice. In 2015, Hollywood actress. Desiring your man. That means my stock goes up, which means your stock goes up.
Pregnant, shoveling the roof of our house while you were taking that picture, I'm pretty sure.
Yes, absolutely. I remember not answering your calls.
In the feet of snow in New England.
Well, you wanted a mansion in Melrose, Alice. I gave you a mansion in Melrose. I had to go travel the earth with my friend Anna Lynn McCord. It's not my fault, Alice, that I was given certain gifts in life, including the animal magnetism to attract Hollywood starlets. But I eschewed her in return to you, did I not?
Lucky me.
Oh, my goodness. All right, we got to go. Time to go?
I guess that's all we got for
Maybe
tonight.
you should tweet that out since I can't in good faith, just to show the people.
What exactly do you want me to tweet out and say about it?
Just to show
the
people.
Are you worried that you said that Dave Cullinane's not going to tweet it out for you?
Do you think, how dare you, young lady, think for an instant that I would want gratuitous attention through Dave Cullinane or any other bottom-feeding Twitter persona, social media influencer?
You just were telling me how you sent it to Cullinane. Why don't you wait a few hours and see if Cullinane feeds your thirst for
what's going to happen here?
Mm-hmm.
No, so now it's not going to happen because I've already heard today's show. Dave would have had this on his punch list. So I would tweet it to him, but if he saw, there's no way to hurt, well, it matters. He may try to hurt me, so we'll see. All right, everybody. It's been a great week. Thank you very much, everybody, so much for everything.
Aside from Russia invading Ukraine, that's like the tiny detail.
That's right.
You can't say it's been a great week
right,
when World War III just started and I'm stocking up on anti-radiation medications.
But mostly I can't go to Italy, which is, to me, the biggest disappointment, because I wanted to visit Italy again. I've been there several times. My mother was a travel agent, and if Vladimir Putin had a mother like my mother, perhaps twist against the Mother Russia, he wouldn't be anymore, and we could have a better world.
Thank you, everybody, for listening during these dark days. Please join us on Twitter at BurnBarrelPod or Facebook.com/BurnBarrelPodcast. We are also at burnbarrelpodcast.com, where you can find links to everywhere you might feel like listening to podcasts. We're also on YouTube, on Rumble. You can shoot us an email if you have hate mail or whatever. If you want to get Annalyn McCord's number, that's burnbarrelpodcast@gmail.com.